Hi there, this is Mr. Dunaway, and welcome to our second lesson on finding the slope of a line. If you would begin by writing the topic at the top of your paper there, and also putting your name on your paper. It looks like I didn't give you a place to do that, but you want this across the top as well as your name and the date, so you have a record of these notes. The topic today is finding the slope of a line given 2 points. Today we're going to look at how to do that without the graph. Notice the underlined word without the graph. So you're going to have 2 points, but they're going to be ordered pairs today, and we can find the slope almost as easily as we can when we have the graph. We have to do a little bit of math with that, but hopefully nothing too complicated if you can work with integers. So get that down, and then let's just jump right into things, beginning with the definition, which we actually had in the last video. But I do want to introduce you to a variable m, and it's often written like this. It's a cursive m, and that variable basically stands for slope. It does. In a lot of traditional math books, and almost all books, they use this letter m, and it's often written kind of cursive like that. You don't have to, but put the letter m. That now stands for slope when you see that. And we know that slope is equal to, we learned in the last video, the change in y divided by the change in x. Now when we did that in the previous video with the graphs, we called y the rise. That's how much it's going up and down. How much is that y-axis changing between 2 points that are on the line? And the change in x, that we called the run. And the run was the amount that the lines were changing side to side or left to right. How much the x-axis value was changing there. So we can actually take information from the 2 points on the line without the graph, and we can now calculate the slope, and that's what we need to do today. And let's begin by looking at this slide. Let's find the slope of this, but notice I gave you the 2 points here, but I did not give you the line. We're not going to connect the line. You can imagine it there. It's going to go right through there, but let's do this without the line, and let's write down the values of these ordered pairs. Well, this ordered pair, if this is my origin, it'd be 1, 2, 3. The x value is 3. And the y value is 1. So this ordered pair is the point 3, 1. This ordered pair, that is on the y-axis, so the x value would be 0, negative 1. Okay, now notice this x value is 0, this y value is negative 1, this x value is 3, and this y value is 1. Well, if we had the line here, what we would do, what we learned yesterday is we would start on this point, or either point actually, but we would count. In this case, we would go up 2. Now I want to show you something here, that this y value is negative 1, right, which we have right here in the point. And to get from negative 1 to 1, we have to go 2 spaces, 1, 2. Now think about that. The y value, and write this underneath here if you have room, or off to the side. You might have more room over here on the side. I'll do it over here because you probably do. Notice this value of negative 1. If we subtract this value 1, because we're going from negative 1 to 1. What's the difference between these two locations? It's negative 1 minus 1. All right, now that's the rise. That's the change in y. That's how much this line, if we had a line here, it's changing to this direction, the difference between this value of y and this value of y. Now if we change this to addition, boom, boom, that comes out to be negative 2. And then if we notice the x, I'll try red here. We'll see if that'll show up. Then we take the car. Remember we talked about taking the car and we turn, and now we go this way. And we would count 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's look at what's happening here. If I go from this point, which is 0 for x, that's at 0, and that's at 3. If I go 0 minus 3, 0 minus 3, think of that as negative right there, is negative 3 right there. All right, and that's how much this runs, right? 1, 2, 3. 0 minus this value of 3. Now negative 2 over negative 3, that's the same thing as a negative divided by a negative, which the answer is actually 2/3, positive 2/3. So if we had a line there, and we found the rise of run, we'd go up 2, that's the rise, over 3, that's the run. And notice how I found that just using the ordered pairs by subtracting the y values, putting it on top, subtracting the x values and putting it on the bottom. Why did I put the y values on top? Because back to our definition, by slope, the change in y is the numerator. Okay, and so we can now do all of that with just 2 points on the line using this formula. And you're going to have to be able to do that for me. So on the next slide, let's get down this formula here, and hopefully we can simplify the process. Now right here, you're going to notice some strange notation. It's really pretty simple. Okay, this is x1, y1. Okay, x1, y1. This basically means a point on a line. A point on the line. Make sure you get everything down here. That's what that means. All right, now notice these 2's here. That basically means a second point. A second point on the line. So I know that these 2 points are on the line, so what we have to do is just distinguish that this is 1 point and this is 1 point, a different point, and we can subtract the y's, put it on top, subtract the x's, put it on bottom, and you'll have the slope. So the traditional formula goes like this. Write this down. This is really important here. Let's remember that slope. The slope is equal to y. Now the 2, what they say is sub 2. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And we would just fill in the numbers there, subtract it, and we would have it. This top, this change in y, that's how much it changes on the y-axis, which would be the rise. And this is the change in x, and that would be the run. And as long as you keep your signs correct, it's really pretty simple to do if you can subtract integers. The thing where we'll catch you making errors is if you're not really careful with the negative signs, because some of these values are going to be negative. And you'll see that here in some of the problems we do next. So let's apply this. So remember that our slope formula is y sub 2 minus y sub 1. I'm going to write it here because you've got it on the page right in front of you, I believe, for this problem. X sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now here's another thing. You know, okay, here's two points that are on a line. They want you to find the slope. It does not matter which point is x sub 1 or y sub 1. Okay, so I'll just do it like we'll call this first one x1, y1, and we'll call this one x2, y2. Again, it doesn't matter if you call this x2, y2 and this x1, y1. It doesn't matter. What does matter is whatever you start with and you're subtracting, you do the same thing on the top and the bottom. So if we're going to find the slope, m, if this, okay, here's the way I did it. I said, well, all right, I'll start with this, y2, so 0, so this 0 is y sub 2, minus y sub 1, which is 7. All right, 0 minus 7, and I'm going to divide that by negative 1 minus 5. And there you have it, negative 1 minus 5. So we have to watch our addition here. Now remember, when we have subtraction, if you want to be really smart, change it to addition. Boom, boom. You have negative 7 on the numerator. Negative 1 plus negative 5 is negative 6. A negative divided by a negative, make it positive, 7 over 6. And that is the slope of this line. If we were to graph this line, you would go up 7 over 6 to get that line. And there you have it. So we can find the slope without the graphs now. And again, that's something you're going to have to be able to do. The thing is, you got to be really careful with the negative signs. You might be asking a really common question is, well, what if we had done the other one first? Well, if we'd done 7 minus 0 on top, you'd have positive 7. And then if we did 5 minus negative 1, you'd have positive 6. You still would have gotten 7 over 6. So as long as you keep your signs correct, whichever way you do it, it should work out correctly. Let's try one more here. Find the slope if the 2 points are this. So I'll just show you this time. I'll let this one be x2, y2. And I'll let this one be x1, y1. It doesn't matter which one you choose. What you should do is choose ones that are the most simple for you with their signs. But I just want you to see it both ways here. So change in y, I'm going to go 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 divided by negative 3 minus 6. Okay, let's change this to addition. 1 minus 2, I'm going to change that to negative 1. I'm going to change this to negative 3 plus negative 6. That'd be negative 9. I have a negative divided by a negative, which equals positive 1 over 9. And there you have it. So if you'd plot these points, you'd have a line that went up 1 and up 1 over 9. So you'd have a really flat line, something that looked like that. if we were to actually graph those 2 points. So that's it for this video. I will make a second video next. I'd like you to continue watching, and we will see a few more examples in that video and then be done for the day. Thanks.